Yo, what's going on, snipers, and welcome back to New Calendars franchise mode here in NHL 25. So in last episode, you probably know what happened. We ended up having a colossal failure as we lost in the Stanley Cup Finals for the third consecutive season, and it's been a very disappointing franchise mode in the fact that we haven't won a Stanley Cup yet. But in terms of the players we've had on this roster, I've really liked how we built up teams, but I don't know what the curse is, if it's Lula Morello who cursed us all these years ago when we decided to take his job from him or something like that, but we just have not been able to find a way to win that Stanley Cup yet, and we only have a couple more seasons left of this franchise mode. I think it ends in 48-49 or 47-48, so it's like 3 to 4 seasons left. I don't know if we're going to be going right till the end. I feel like we should probably still go right to the end, but if we start to lose a lot of big players to retirement, maybe we cut it a little bit early. But like I said, it's just been disappointing, the fact that we can't find a way to win a Stanley Cup, because we've had some really good players over these years, but for some reason this team is just cursed. Guys like Makinen are already on drop-off at 32 years old, which isn't good. He's only like an 86 now. He used to be like a 91. I feel like he could easily retire before he's 35, maybe at 35, but he's probably going to retire before this franchise mode ends. Also, guys like Olli Howden are probably going to be very low overall to start next season. Like, he could even be like a top 6 defenseman next season. Like, he's 83 right now, but I feel like he's more like maybe an 80, 81, maybe a 79 even. So a little bit scared about that. Also, guys like Crane are dropping off a little bit too. Actually, let me not go to Ragnarsson. There you go. Crane's dropping off too. He does still have the exact lead potential, but he is only an 88 now at 35. So a lot of these guys are definitely getting closer and closer to retirement, which means our team is going to take a bit of a hit once they decide to retire. But the main thing we got to do this offseason is basically maintain our roster, which might be kind of tough with the cap space we have left. So I'm hoping that we could kind of see if we could bring everybody back. If not, maybe we have to let some guys go to free agency and then end up trading some people in that next episode to bring some of those type of guys back. So we'll see how much money we end up having to spend after the draft, but hopefully we can find some okay prospects that maybe make the team before the series ends. And if not, then, I mean, this episode's pretty pointless other than the Resign stage. So, yeah, just expecting us to hopefully maintain this roster, go for another run, even though we did just lose our head coach to retirement, which could be a big blow. Our head coach was a good coach for our team, so I don't really know if it's going to be like all of a sudden we do a lot better because our coach is different. Like, we literally were running the same coach for a very long time, and he got us to 5 straight conference finals. He got us to 4 cup finals in the last 10 years as well. Like, definitely a coaching change might be a good idea, but I'm not too sure if there's going to be one that has a very good strength with our roster like the other coach did. Now, we could always promote somebody like Kindle to our head coach if we really want to, but I guess it depends on how good he fits our team. So in a couple episodes, we'll definitely figure that out on who's actually going to be our new head coach for the upcoming season, and maybe that coach will be what we exactly need to get this team at least 1 cup before the series ends. But anyways, before we get into the 2045 NHL draft and re-sign stage, let's get in your guys' comments, see what you guys have to say about last episode, and then we'll see what we end up doing with this team and if we're actually able to maintain it or not. So the first and only comment is from Sour Taku, says, it's possible there may be one last push available with your current core, but I wouldn't be surprised if your window is closed at this point. I know you don't like to do this, but you could buy out the last year of Solovyov's contract. You might want to look at some of the guaranteed medium top 6s in this draft, because could be a player who is a high overall that may be only 1 or 2 years out. And yeah, that's true about the draft. There might be some good high overall top 6 forwards we could potentially draft, so we'll definitely look into them and see if they have any good attributes. Aside from what you're saying, though, with Solovyov and buying him out, I'm not usually a huge fan of buying people out, but it might not be too costly for us to buy out Solovyov's contract, which kind of sucks because Solovyov has been fantastic in the last little bit for us, but he is dropping off a cliff, and we do have a lot of goalies. Like, Over will need to play in the AHL, for instance. We have Bergenheim already. Irwin's ready to take up that backup job from Solovyov, so it doesn't really make sense for Solovyov to just be like a healthy scratch in the NHL or AHL for that matter, so likely we will try and buy him out. I don't know how much it's going to cost us, but kind of weird to buy him out when he was really good for us this season in terms of regular season and fantastic in the playoffs. Like, I kind of wish I played him a little bit more in the finals, because because maybe that would have given us a better chance to win. But I mean, Nicholas was playing good too, so it was maybe more on our offensive side of things that we lost at Stanley Cup. But would have been nice to maybe see if Solovyov could have maybe changed the complexion of his team come that finals. So we'll see what we end up doing with Solovyov, but likely we will buy him out just because we have so many goalie prospects at the moment. And then he was also saying that our window could be closed at this point, but there also is a chance for another run. I definitely agree with that. I think our window could be closed, but this defensive core is still really strong as it is. Even if Houghton drops off to a top 6 defenseman, Houghton could end up playing on that top 6 pairing instead. Lindsay could move into the top 4. I think our defensive core would be okay, but we also might end up losing Lindsay this offseason because he is a pending UFA, so a little bit worried about that. I guess it really just depends if we're able to bring back a lot of this roster if we want to have a good run, because if we go to all skaters, for instance, and we look at the pending free agents on this roster, there is some pretty big UFAs. Scrivens and Lindsay would be the biggest two. Winchester and Russell probably won't be as expensive. There's a good chance I will be letting go of Winchester, though, just because he's wanting too much money. Holmstrom and all the RFAs here will probably be quite expensive, but at least we have a little bit more leeway with their contracts. Hopefully none of them get qualified like Nicholas did last offseason. So I'm hoping that we could bring everybody back, but there is probably going to be a couple casualties, my guess, depending on the cap space situation. So with that said, I think we're ready to hop on into this draft and see what we could get here. Like I said, I'm not really too sure what to expect from this draft class in terms of getting good prospects or not. And it might not really matter at this stage anyways, because these guys might not make it. But we did have some people pinned for later rounds. I think these were guys that were close to low leads. Svedberg was the one that was 2 years out, which is very interesting. So Svedberg definitely will be somebody I select in this draft. But aside from that, like in the late first round, I don't know if there's going to be any good top 6 forwards that are 1 to 2 years out. If there is, that would be kind of nice, just because that way maybe there's a chance they make our roster before the series ends. So anyways, with that said, let's hop into this 2045 draft and see what we could get. All right, let's see what we could get here. Sorry about that. I had to make a cut because I was going to sneeze and then no sneeze came out. So if I sneeze randomly out of nowhere or have a cut randomly out of nowhere, you know I probably sneezed. But anyways, let's take a look at this late stage of this draft class at 31st round. See if there's anybody that could be a potentially good overall and be only a couple years out, because that would be kind of nice if we could find somebody like that. But there's no guarantees that we actually will. So Serge Dalmont, 3 years out, he's probably a 65. There's Douglas, he's probably a 65. Bordelow's a 65, probably around. LaHoo, it doesn't have an ETA. That's kind of strange. Kind of surprised on that. 4 years out for Gilbert Leclerc. That's a weird name to say. Sandlack doesn't have any info. I feel like our scouts didn't do a great job either. But so far, I'm just seeing a bunch of 3 to 4 year out players, which isn't good. Yeah, I don't think we're going to be able to find anybody based on this that's actually going to be 1 year out. What about this Lebedev guy? 2 years out, maybe on Lebedev. I mean, that's not a forward, really. And I know I just burped when I was talking about whatever. Lebedev's 2 years out. That's actually kind of interesting. We'll pin him in case. What about Matthias Zetterberg? 3 years out. Spencer's 3 years out. Yeah, this draft class is quite weak based on this. Like, a lot of these guys are 3 years out, which means they're, like, in their 60s. This guy might be 2 years out, but there's no guarantees on that. Maybe we'll take a chance with Zigomanis with our late first round pick. Yeah, he actually looks okay, too. Yeah, we probably will take Zigomanis just based on the fact that he might be the best option for us. This guy might be 2 years out, but it's tough to say as well. Mark Biron. We'll pin him in case for maybe a second round selection. Come on, game, stop glitching out. I need you to load. Goddamn. Anybody else that's 2 years out? This guy's 5 years out, and he's a guaranteed medium starter. That's too late for us. 2 years out on Spike Weston. Ooh, okay, Spike Weston's looking good. I didn't even realize this guy at all in last episode. He's not fully scouted, so this could be inaccurate information, but Spike Weston is going to be our first round selection. I think there's no brainer on that, taking a chance on that. Because it looks like he could be 2 years out, but these attributes might make him 1 year out. So, yeah, Spike Weston I think is going to be our selection. Unless there's a better option out there, but don't think there is at this point. God damn, that was an interesting player. I was not expecting to see that late. It's good that we kept scrolling. Because or else we probably would have taken somebody else and missed out on that dude. But I think we got to go with that guy. And just hope that he's actually good. Even though he's not fully scouted. This guy's 3 years out as a 65 probably around. Yeah, I think we know who we're going to go with our first round selection. We're going to go way off the board and go Spike Weston. But first and foremost, let's see what the AI grabs in this year's top 5. Not that it really matters at this stage, but the Vancouver Canucks have the first overall selection. They have taken center sniper, what's his first name? Ilya Punovs, who's a 79 overall medium elite sniper. All right. All right, pretty solid player. Okay, so there he goes to Vancouver. San Jose at number 2 is going to select Eminger, who's a 79 overall two-way defenseman. So the first defenseman of this draft class does have stick 'em up. All right, looks pretty balanced. The Anaheim Ducks at number 3 are going to select Ben. What's your first name? Edgar Ben. What a name. He's also a two-way defenseman, not as good, but definitely probably NHL bound within a season, or maybe he plays in the AHL. No, he's not AHL eligible, so he probably plays in the NHL in a year, or they might already use him as a depth defenseman potentially. Utah at number 4 is going to select another defenseman, another two-way guy, and that is Cole Dorsett, who's a right-handed defenseman. Not too bad. In reverse. And Buffalo at number 5 is going to select Stevenson, who is a right-wing 76 overall sniper. Chase Stevenson. All right, so there's your top 5 of the 2045 draft. Let's simulate to our pick at 31. And we're going to go completely off the board because look at all these other players that are going right for our spot. There's some top 9s going in the late first round, which doesn't bode well for this draft in general, but I think we have found ourselves a legit steal if Weston's actually that good. I was thinking about going with some of these other dudes. There is actually 2 spikes we have pinned, which is kind of funny. We could draft all the spikes, and then maybe no team could come near us because we'll poke out their eyes with all our spikes or some shit. But yeah, Biron and Lebedev were kind of interesting, but I think we got to go with Spike Weston here. He just looks pretty solid. We don't know for sure on that, but I feel like it's more than guaranteed he's going to be a high overall player. I don't know what the potential is. Maybe it's a low elite that's a high overall. Maybe it's a top 6 that's a high overall. But Spike Weston's kind of a nice little prospect, it looks like. And he also plays for London. London's usually a good place to draft prospects from. So let's take a chance with this Spike and see if he's actually that good. And the answer is he's not that good. Damn, man. Our scouts were completely off. I mean, there was only 1 bar scouted, but medium top 9, 60 overall. Damn. So I should have probably taken him later. But I thought he looked good. I mean, he does look actually not that bad in terms of his attribute spread, so maybe he can actually become a top 6 forward, but he is definitely not 1 year out, which is what we were hoping for mostly. So that kind of sucks. Let's simulate to our next pick at 95 because we do not have a second rounder. And let me call a timeout because I want to see if we missed out on anything good. I hope we made the right call, but likely there's going to be at least a steal here in this third round or second round that I kind of wish we had instead. Let's see, is there anybody that was a steal? A lot of medium 9s and medium 6s and stuff, or low 6s. Yeah, this might be one of the worst classes we've seen in quite some time. There was Evans as a low 6. Oh, Spike Clancy was a low elite. Maybe I should have went for Spike Clancy first round. So Spike Clancy was good, but the other Spike was not spiky enough. Goddamn. That kind of sucks. He is a grinder, though, so he's not going to produce much offense. We didn't really need goalie prospects, so I don't care about Arvidsson that much. LaHoo was also a low elite. 3 years out probably, though, which is okay that he's 3 years out, but damn, man. Yeah, we definitely didn't make the right call with that first round selection, but it was kind of worth the risk based on how he looked. Maybe we should have went for somebody like Sylvester instead, too. Because that would have been okay. Medium 4, and there's Lebedev, yeah. Lebedev is solid. Oh, man, there's a lot of medium 6s, but they're all like 3 years out, so by the time they're all ready, this franchise mode would be almost done anyways, so maybe we don't care really too much about our selection here, because this draft class in general isn't crazy. Bure's also a low elite, though. Yeah, these guys probably could have developed before the series ends, likely these low elites, but it's really tough to say because some of them grow a lot after 1 year, some of them just don't. So let's make our next selection here in round 3 and see if there's anything good. We do have some players still pinned. Svedberg's definitely somebody I'm looking to probably next selection. We're going to go for Austin Carlton here. He is 20 years old, but we will take a chance on him since we have a Carlton already. Might as well bring in another, and he's got good potential, which he does not. Low 6. 65 is an okay starting point, but he is 20 years old. I don't think this guy's much of anything either. He does already have an NHL ready pass, though, which is interesting. So even though he's a low overall, maybe after 1 year of playing in the AHL, if we play him in the AHL. Yeah, he should be AHL eligible because of his age, maybe. It's tough to say. Maybe he could be a guy that makes the NHL as a fourth liner. Really tough to say, though. All right, next selection here in the 4th round. I could wait till later still to select that other guy, but I feel like I want to maybe take him already. Because he's a guaranteed low-weight two-way defenseman that's 18 years old, and he's guaranteed to be 2 years out, despite being that late of a selection, which is pretty impressive. I know we have other picks after this still, too, so maybe I will take him next round instead. I could probably still take him in, like, round 6. So I guess we'll take 2 other players randomly here first, and then we'll take him round 6, and then round 7, I don't know what I'm going to go for whatsoever, but we might as well see if we could find anything crazy here. We've had some luck with Earthings before in franchise mode, but that guy doesn't look that good. This guy might be a little late. It's tough to say. Harrison Wakabayashi, he is 20 years old, though, so my guess is a low 6. What about Woolley? Elliot Woolley, 20 years old as well. Probably a low top 4. There's a low bottom 6 supposed to go this round. Damn, man. We honestly could trade away our picks for later rounds if we really want to. And just take that other guy now. Is there anybody else that has good potential guaranteed? Like, let's take a look at these guys that could be elite players. See if there's anybody with a really good attribute spread. Hartnell's a good goaltender prospect, but do I really need a goalie prospect? Not really at this stage. Aside from that, not really seeing any good attributes except for Svedberg, who we are probably going to be taking. There is also some other guys that could be low lead, like I was saying, but are they good? Like Tom Hoffman, he could be low lead, but he's probably low overall. Braden Haynes, he's 20 years old. I think we're just going to go for Svedberg already, and I honestly might just trade away my other selections because this draft class isn't really screaming that interesting to me at all. So let's take Svedberg a little bit earlier than he should have, like a couple rounds early. He looks really good, so let's just take him anyways. 70 overall. See, imagine if we would have taken that 6th round. We decided to take him 4th round, but that's still a fantastic steal. And will be very nice because he'll likely make our defensive core before the series ends. And if we lose Houghton into retirement, Svedberg could honestly just be that replacement kind of guy. He's AHL eligible too, so we probably will play him in Bridgeport next year. Likely. So I really like that selection. At least that makes up for our weak early selections, I think. Is it on the offensive side of things? No, but it should help us from the back end once we lose Houghton, because Houghton's retirement is probably coming in the next year, my guess. So let's just go find trade and give a team all these rest of these selections, because I honestly do not need these picks at this point. There's just nothing good. Nobody's found me with an open block. Damn, man. I don't think anybody else wants these picks either, just because this draft class is that bad. Let's go offer trade and see if we could find something here. I don't know if there's anything valuable even we could get for these type of things, so because we don't really want players in return. So let's just add those picks and see if we could trade them all to like Anaheim for a pick next year. That's probably what I would lean towards. I could even get higher than a 4th round pick you're telling me for all that junk. I'm not trying to cheese day eye here, but I mean, I could probably get even a 3rd rounder. They do want to move this 3rd, so by their logic, we give them 4 picks here and we get a 3rd rounder for next year. Let's just do that. Easy little deal. I mean, we could have probably even got a 2nd rounder, but a 3rd rounder, we'll take it. We move up in next year's draft. We give Anaheim a bunch of our shitty picks. I'll take it any day. So there is the draft for us. Not necessarily the craziest draft, but Svedberg is very intriguing. We only had 2 other selections. Weston was a guy that looked like he could have been good. We should have taken the other spike instead. And Carlton is a low 6 at 20, 65 overall. Maybe he becomes something, but it's probably too late for him at this point. But Svedberg, I think, definitely should make our NHL team before the series ends, which is good because of the old guy on the defensive core. So With that said, let's get to the re-sign stage, see if we could actually afford to bring everybody back. Like I said, we are going to be likely buying out Solovyov here, which is kind of unfortunate, but I just can't justify paying him still $2 million for this upcoming season. So let's bring back our coaches that we currently have. So this guy should be our assistant. And we still need to find a head coach in next episode probably too. Hopefully we can find one that's pretty good. We also do need to bring back our goalie coach too for that matter. So let's get him signed on up. And hopefully we have a good season next year. Despite losing our head coach. Because that could make a big difference potentially. So we do got a lot of scouts to bring back. Some of them have been here for a long ass time. We don't really care too much at this stage because the draft class is not very important. But obviously, we will still bring back all the scouts that are going up for renewal. The only time we won't, obviously, is when they actually start to retire. Which I'm surprised a lot of them have been here since the beginning. Oh, we got to bring back Jonathan Thompson, welcome back. And I think Trevelyan as well. Yep, Trevelyan. I think there's a couple others. Gagnon, we'll bring you back too. Hopefully, you can get us to win something. Martina Mahalik will bring you back to Vacation, no. Marsh, nope. Benda, no. And it was Mohammed Wengernowski, who's been here quite a long time. I think that was it. Yep, that is it for scouts. All right, how much money do we got to spend at agency or re-sign stage? 14.3. Oh, I fucked ourselves so bad. 14.3 is nowhere near enough to re-sign all these RFAs, I don't even think. I should have made some trades probably more so at the draft. 14.3 is so low that Holmstrom probably gets 11 of it. God damn. Well, I think our team is going to be astronomically worse, potentially. We are going to still try and get this team together again, but what we might have to do here is let go of some people to free agency and then make more trades next episode and then bring more people back again. But I think all these UFAs almost have to be gone if they want a one-way deal. Good for us that DeRoche wants a two-way. We'll bring him back because he might actually be playing next season. Hybert needs his ELC. He's going to get that. Hall is going to want an AHL contract. I might let go of some of those AHLers randomly. We're not going to sign Yakula to his ELC. We're not going to sign this Crane to his ELC. And we're not going to sign Christie. We are going to be letting go of Winchester, so salute to Winchester. He's been good in the playoffs before, but right now with $14.5 million, $3 million is too much for me, so we're going to let him walk. Russell's probably going to be cheap, I would assume, right? Nope, never mind. He's 2.4. We might actually have to let go of Russell as well. God damn. I think we have to let go of all of our UFAs, to be honest, almost. God damn, man. Over, you could get your ELC. Take that, man. We are going to go to our goalie situation here quickly, though, so we can get that extra $2 million or whatever it is. So, unfortunately, Solovyov, we're going to have to buy you out. I don't know if you're going to get a contract from another team or whatever, but I thank you for what you did last year for us in the playoffs. So, let's go buyout player. And $667,000 for the next 2 years, easily done. So, there you go. We are now up to 14.533, so I don't even think that saved us that much cap. But, this is a really tough situation to be in, man. The good thing is we have a lot of guys that are still RFAs, so we could actually maybe take some compensation back. Maybe that's something we really lean towards. So we'll see what we do with that. But let's get a couple of these guys signed back up for the AHL. But man, I really screwed us up, because if I would have taken the compensation last year for Nicholas, we wouldn't be in this situation. We'd have like $24 million. So maybe Nicholas still gets dealt to next episode. Maybe that's a possibility, because he would free us up a lot of cap space. He's one of the only guys without a clause as well on this team, I think. And what is like Savage wanting? Two-way? One way. God damn, we're going to have to qualify the rest of these dudes, I think, almost at this point. Howes will bring you back. Terry, do you want a one-way or two-way? You want a one-way as well. All right, we'll qualify the rest of these dudes. Oh, man, I got to qualify Holmstrom first, though, because he's going to be really expensive if we have to pay him what he wants. Like, right now, he wants $11.5 million, which is most of the cap space we have left. So let's just qualify him for now. Jeez, I can barely talk. We're also going to qualify Dempsey, qualify Trotter, qualify Terry, and qualify Savage. And goalies, we are going to free up some space by letting go of Barkov, I think. Let's see. Yeah, because we could run Bergenheim and Olver in the AHL, so we are going to let go of Barkov. And we might be able to bring most people back except for the UFAs, basically. Let's go to actually our unsigned players for a second here, because there are some unsigned guys that could get ELCs, like Lysak. He could play in the AHL. And then Svedberg is AHL bound as well, so we'll sign him up. Oh my goodness, so why did I screw us up with this cap situation? Yeah, I think I gotta let go of everybody here almost. Let's let go of Hall in the AHL. And then, yeah, we're gonna have to say bye to Russell for now. I really like Russell, he's a very good defensive forward, but I need to make sure I have the cap space first. There is a chance we could still bring him back if we have free up cap space in next episode. So if we trade Nicholas, for instance, we get $10 million more, we could bring back most of these guys, I think. But Russell for sure is gone. Lindsay's going to be too costly as well right now. Yeah, we can't justify $6 million. So we're going to have to let go of Junior Lindsay as well for now. But like I said, he could come back. And then Scrivens, how much are you asking for? $9 million. That's too much as well. We're going to have to let him walk. Oh my god. This just makes me sick having to deal with this situation. Like, if we would have won a cup by now, maybe I would have already ended the series, but I want guys to retire and stuff like that, so I kind of want to get to that point at some point in time. But we are going to have to deal with somebody having to leave this team on a big cap hit. Now, there is some pretty interesting players that are pending free agents within the next year, though. Because if we look at our forwards, for instance, here, who's not signed into... I guess we have Crane, who's on his no movement. Obviously, Crane has to retire an Islander. I don't think there's anything about that. Lehman, though, we could move out from. He doesn't have a clause. Yeah, Lehman would free us up a lot of cap space, so I think Lehman might be on the hot seat to move out in that next episode, so I'll write down his name for next episode. You guys can let me know if it's a good idea. So let's say Lehman. Kazanov's making 7.4. I'd like Kazanov a lot, and I think he can move into the top 6 if we move out Lehman, so that's not a huge one to get rid of. Makinen's on a no movement. Ashton is technically our second line center, so I'd probably prefer to hold on to him. Same with Ragnarsson and Crane. So basically, I think the one that we'd think about moving out from on the forward side of things is probably Lehman, because he's only an 83 as well, and he's making 8.6. And then we have our RFAs at the moment as well, like Dempsey and stuff, could get more ice time because of that. So I think Lehman for sure is the guy to move out from. Defensively, this is an interesting one. If we want to free up more cap space even, Schaefer's a pending free agent. He's a pending free agent, does have a modified no trade clause now at this point. But he's our best defenseman. And I don't think I'd want to move out from him right now. But we might have to pay him a shit ton of money next offseason. Holmstrom obviously is going to be an RFA. He's going to get paid some money this offseason if we could hold on to him and free up roster space, or cap space, I should say. Carlton, we could move out from Carlton. He doesn't have a clause 2. He's only signed for 2 more years. Houghton, I'm not moving out from, even though he's low overall at this point. He's my favorite player on this roster almost. And he's almost at 1,000 career points as an Islander, so there's no way we're probably going to move out from him, even though he is on a modified no trade clause now at this point. Smith could actually make our defensive core next season. I forgot about Smith. So if we play Smith on our defensive core, that might not be that bad. Savage, Holmstrom, Smith, Houghton, and yeah, we might actually have to get rid of a defenseman. So maybe getting rid of somebody like Lindsay wasn't a bad issue, because Smith could actually play in that same spot. So yeah, that should be fine, actually. So we might be okay defensively, to be honest. But if we want to free up cap space to get Holmstrom back, we need to be spending money. Goalies, we will have our goalies already signed into next season. So I think the only issue, really, is just dealing with these RFAs. which we probably need to free up a good chunk of space. Like I said, Holmstrom's going to want a lot of money. He's probably getting $8-9 million, which means is $5 million enough to sign the rest of these guys? Probably not. So we will need to free up some money, I think. I think a little bit. So let's advance today to see if the House accepts his contract, which I think he is, because there's a notification. It seems like he did. We have our scouts to deal with as well. Forgot about these guys and women, I should say, too. There's Houghton accepting, or House accepting, not Houghton. Goddamn. So 14.933 to sign 5 RFAs. Is it enough money? It might be, it might not be, because Holmstrom, like I said, might be expensive. There's a chance another team could be interested in him as well. So I think we got to find a way to free up a little bit of cap space. So getting rid of Lehman will free us up enough cap space to re-sign all these guys, I think. And maybe find some more players in free agency. So I think that's probably our plan. We'll definitely go to the trade finder in this episode to see if there's any options out there. But Lehman's a very low overall now at this point. He's making too much money. Dempsey's literally just as good as he is. So I think it's got to be Lehman on the hot seat, which kind of sucks because he had only had 48 points last season. He has been on decline a little bit. His playoffs have been still very good, though. He's more of a playoff performer than a regular season guy, in my opinion. So kind of sucks that we'd have to move on from him, but I think he's probably the best bet because I'd probably prefer to hold on to Schaefer as that top defenseman and try and see if we could re-sign him next offseason because there is a chance that Houghton retires after the season and that will free us up cap space anyways to get Schaefer back. So let's advance to free agency and we'll see what we end up doing in terms of free agency this year. Obviously, we're going to do that in next episode, but Neil Terry's already accepted the qualifying offer. Kind of surprised one already accepted, so that's at least good. Our assistant coach did not re-sign. We will try and get him back here because I do not want to lose him. So we'll try and get him back. Let's just bring him back as the head coach for now, and then we just need to find an assistant coach in the next episode. But there's a chance that Kleppis might not even be the head coach next season, so let's just sign him back so he doesn't leave this organization. I don't even know what his fit is like this on this team, but we might as well hold on to him. All right, so let's see. How much money do we got for the free agency portion? 14,678. So Terry accepted that qualifying offer. He's only getting 1.18. I think that's a good little contract for him, actually, to be honest. Ramjasin could be a depth forward again for us. Like, we definitely don't really need that much. Oh, man, Mäkinen was literally just as good as Ashton at this point. That's actually insane. There's a chance Paula could make our roster, maybe, too. Hybert might make it as a young guy. We actually might have a lot of young guys making it into our bottom 6, but there's also all the RFAs still holding out, so. Damn, man, I could hear some thunder outside. I gotta finish this recording fast so my power doesn't go out. At least I have a backup device, but still. Let's go to find trade and see what Lehman would get us back, and then we'll take a look at the available free agents. So, Lehman, what would he cost, or give us a chance to get? A 3rd and a 4th round pick. It's not really a lot, but I think it's because of his cap hit. So we probably would just take one of these trades. Even if it's a low value, we got to get rid of his cap anyways. And if there's teams interested in him, I think it makes it a little bit easier for us to do that. So if you guys see any of these trades that you'd want me to trade him to, we could easily get a 3rd and a 3rd or a 3rd and a 4th. Or a prospect involved if we want to look more in depth at them. But I think Lehman's gone next episode, because he's probably the no-brainer one to free up the cap space. All right, final thing we got to take a look at, the trading block and also the free agency. So let's go to free agency and see what's available this year in the offseason, if there's any big names. So starting off with the good goaltenders, let's actually just remove my face. You guys can see the overalls a little bit better. We don't need goalies, but there is some okay goalie options. From a defensive standpoint, we don't need defensemen. But the best available is Neil, who is a very good shutdown D-man. We did just like Ove Lindsay, but he's going to get replaced by that young guy. We still might need to free up some space on that defensive core a bit, though, too, just to get him into the lineup. Tatar's a free agent, former guy of ours. Salmelainen, that's the one that used to play with us, right? It is. Damn, he's dropped off a lot. A lot of guys are dropping off that used to play with this roster. Kind of crazy. I think if one thing we're going to need is probably a replacement for Lehman. Because if we trade Lehman next episode, we're going to need a replacement in the lineup for him. So that's probably the one thing we'd look to maybe sign once we get our RFA situation dealt with. So let's take a look at those available forwards potentially to replace him. Antropov, Newbury, not really the best options, to be honest. Sundin. Maybe there's a left winger that also plays right. We'll have to take a look at that. Yeah, there's not really a lot of good right wingers out there. This guy's only 25 years old. Malachi Schaefer. 15 points in 82 games. More of a bottom six option, probably. Left wing side of things, Sanders is an 88. I was looking into Sanders, I think, a few years ago on the trade deadline. He is a power forward and with good shooting. Fits our top six. Actually, that's our last coach. It's not of our current head coach. Because we don't have a current head coach. Sanders could be a guy to bring in. But how much money did he want? Never mind. $15.45 million is way too much. We'd have to free up even more cap space if we got rid of Lehman that way. Gunderson 86 at 32, but he wants 11.85. That's pretty high. We might honestly return to try and get Scrivens back. Because there is teams interested in him, but 9.3 isn't that bad. Is there any bargain deals? Not really. Maybe trading for what is better. We'll see. Because basically if we got rid of Lehman and then signed a guy to 8.5 and above, we're basically just getting rid of Lehman for no reason at that point. There is some good centers as well, but yeah, this free agent crop is not necessarily the strongest. So there may be coming some trades to replace Lehman on a cheap... Like, if we could find somebody that's better than Lehman overall-wise, and same player type, basically same position, but making less money, that's probably the player we need to bring in. So we'll definitely look into that. So let's go to the trading block, and then we'll see if there's anybody that kind of fits that bill a little bit. But I'm honestly not too sure if there's going to be a solid replacement. Maybe we just trust in the young guys at that point, but we got to see what there's out there at the moment. So goalies like Smithson, Morrow, don't need those. Don't care about picks either. Wilford is a left wing sniper, 25 years old, $10 million for an 81. No, thank you. And he only had 13 goals last season. It's because a few years ago he had 28 goals, but damn, in the last 2 years he's got 28 goals combined now. Yikes, that's a really bad contract there for the Sabres to deal with. Peckham on 1 year left. 15 goals is not a lot. Peckham's okay, but I don't think he's much of a goal scorer. He's more of a playmaker. What else do they have? Nothing else really. Calgary has Mallet on defense, 1 year left. Carolina has Locktiana. Chicago, nothing. Colorado has goalie prospect. Columbus has Cummins as a two-way forward. That's not a bad option for the bottom six. A good offensive player, though, too. 56 points last year, but I don't really think he's what I'm trending to look towards. I want a good goal scorer, probably. Komatov, our former goalie, still there in Dallas. How's he been, actually, since we got rid of him? 903 save percentage. He was a backup last year again. Damn, poor guy. Can't be a starter anywhere. Detroit's got nothing. Edmonton has Wilkinson. That's it. Florida, nothing really there either. LA, nothing. Minnesota, nothing. Montreal, nothing. Nashville. We honestly might have to go to the player search to see if there's any options. Goalie, we don't need goalies at all, though. Philly's got nothing. Pittsburgh, nothing. San Jose, nothing. Seattle, nothing. There's absolutely nothing on these blocks. I expected more, but no. Wow, Michelli's dropped off a cliff. Holy crap, man. He's still a good goal scorer, but damn, he's dropped off hard. Damn, man. Shout out to Phil Michelli. Utah, nothing. Vancouver has Schneider on the block. Schneider would be the guy, but he's making $18.835 million, so that's a bit too much money for me for a 19-goal scorer. If he was making like half that, maybe, but no. That's not a contract I would take in. Nothing there, nothing there, and nothing there. All right, well, we're going to have to go to the player search function to see if there's anybody in the league that actually fits that kind of criteria that Lehman was doing. Lehman was a playmaker, but I don't really care if he's a playmaker or not, this guy. We will go with, I guess I can't make him a right winger, but I could go right-handedness at least. And we will go 3.5 star at least. We'll go medium accuracy. And we'll make his shooting category at least a 4-star shooter. And see if there's anybody out there that might fit that bill. So is there anybody that's like around the same overall as Lehman was or better that's making less money? That's not going to cost us too much. So these guys are way too high overall. A lot of 86s. 86 at 34 for Bull. How much is he making? 14 million bucks. God damn. We need somebody on a good cheap contract. Obviously Ashton's the best of those cheap contracts and he's on our team already. Copeland is not making that much. Power forward, 4-star shooter. 28 goals last season. It's not bad. No playoffs. Third line scoring forward, though. Hey, he's probably just as good as Lehman, but he's making less money. 1 extra year on this contract. I don't know about that. Ovechkin, that's the guy that used to play with us, right? Yeah, 22 goals. There is Jaskalainen, who used to play with us. We could bring him back, but he is 36 years old, so do we want to risk it on an old man? He's only making 5.8 for 1 year. But he is an 84 at 36. And he has scored goals in the past. He did drop off a lot this year in Minnesota, but maybe in our spot he could actually do better than that. It wasn't good in the playoffs for them, but he did score the cup-winning goal against us at one point. So if you can't beat them, join them or something instead. That's an interesting one. I don't know if he'll be that good, though. Like, he's pretty much going to be on decline throughout the year, I'm guessing. There's also Jake Connor, who is a sniper. He's a centerman. 20 goals last year. 25 the year before. He's not a bad goal scorer, but not sure if he's what I want either. A lot of these other guys are 83 overall. These are only the right-handed ones, so let's look for left-handed ones as well while we're at it. So that way we could kind of see if there's any good left-handed ones that also play maybe the right side. Damn, man, a lot of these guys are getting paid the big bucks. Okay, let's scroll through this and see if there's anybody here making a low contract. And he's a pending free agent or something. 88 at 40, no trade clause. We're not looking for that. Sanders is a free agent. We know about him already. I don't want to pay him $14 million, though. Gogol's got 3 years left as an 87 at 23. He's too young, probably. He wouldn't want to be moved yet at this point, I don't think. I think we might honestly have to explore bringing Scrivens back. He'd probably be the best option at this point. There's Zaitsev, who's got 1 year left, but he's 22, so that's not going to work, probably. 27 with 3 years left, 7.64. So it's the exact same amount of years as Lehman. Less money, higher overall, same age around, and he is a sniper 4-star shooter. 13 goals only last season, though. Yeah, this guy's not a goal scorer. I know he's a sniper, but he does not score enough. Ooh, there's still Harrison Washington. Forgot about this guy. Does he have any interest in this team? I don't think he did, right? It doesn't show the teams, but I don't think he has any interest in this team. Unfortunately, because he would still be kind of cool. Murata's a free agent. A lot of these guys are free agents already. Steckel, 84 at 27. 4-star shooter. 30 goals last season. Made the playoffs as well. I don't know if Steckel would be a player that would actually be moved out, though. Has won a Stanley Cup recently. And it would have been against us. Fraze has 1 year left at less money than Lehman. So that would free up money in the offseason again. Fraze is a 27 goal scorer. It was a minus 17 last season. They did still make the playoffs, though, which is surprising. He's 34, though, so he's probably also on decline. Did win the Calder a long time ago at this point. Leg, who used to play with us, is only signed for 2 years. Lockhart's only signed for 1 year in Columbus. We've played this guy a lot in the playoffs. He's also a 4.5-star shooter and a 30-goal scorer. this last season. Ahmed Lockhart might not be that bad. He's the exact same age, I think, as Lehman, too. Just a little bit better. More of a goal scorer. Does not fit our old coach's lines, but he is pretty cheap of a contract. So there is a chance maybe Lockhart could be interesting. So if you guys could remind me on that, or if you guys think that's a good option, let me know. That might be one of those type of players we'd look into. There's also bringing back the chance on Pekka Nielakainen. Nielakainen's still a really good shooter too. He's in Florida now, only on a 1-year deal. 54 points in 81 games. Has scored 30 goals and 40 goals in the past. Maybe bringing back Pekka's not a bad option either. I'd say probably one of these two options is probably what I'd be leaning towards at the moment. Or we bring back Scrivens. But Scrivens would cost us more than $6 million. So we'll have to think on that. Because obviously if we find ourselves a cheaper replacement for Lehman, that might not be a bad idea. So there is that. Is there anything else we want to take a look at before we end this episode? I don't feel like there is. Let me look at the defensive core again. So you do 1, 2, 3, 4. Strombo probably being the 7th D-man again. So that's 5, 6, 7, and... oh man, yeah, that's it. We might be okay defensively. Like, I think Smith will jump into our defensive core next season. I know he's only listed as a depth defenseman, but I think he'll jump in, and we won't bring back Lindsay, just because he's pretty much ready to go. So, defense should be settled, goalies should be settled, and then at forwards, like I said, just freeing up that cap space, getting rid of Lehman. Will put us up to $22 million in cap space. We bring in one of those free agent guys, trade guys that are making $6 million bucks. We'd be probably a little bit cheaper, not super much cheaper, but we'd be saving like probably if we bring in a $6 million guy or a $5 million guy, we could save up to like $2-3 million bucks, and then we could use that towards re-signing our RFAs. Which, is that enough to re-sign all four of those dudes? Probably. Because I don't think Trotter and Savage are going to cost us too much. Trotter right now is asking for 3.9, which is a bit high. Savage, we could easily get him down to like just $1 million around. Dempsey's going to cost us probably the most of the forwards. Yeah, he's going to cost us probably like $4 million maybe. And then we have Holmstrom, who is 1 year out from being a UFA. So probably locking him up to what he's asking for is an important thing. So I think we could probably, if we make the trades and stuff like that, like I said, with Lehman involved, we could probably get Holmstrom for a minimum cost of like 10.45, which would basically knock us down to 4.2 something in cap space to get the rest of these guys back. We need to free up a little bit more. We free up some by getting rid of Lehman. We'd be down to, or we'd probably have like more like $6 or $7 million to re-sign all three of these guys. I think that's a bit more reasonable. So I think moving Lehman for one of those players that I mentioned, like bringing back Nielakainen, is an option. We free up some cap space that way. We get these three guys signed. And then Holmstrom, we give him what he's asking for 5 years because he's going to be our best defenseman once Schaefer starts to drop off. And Schaefer's going to be a penny free agent next summer too, so we don't know if we're going to lose him or not. But anyways, guys, that's going to do it for this episode of New York Islanders Franchise Mode. So in next episode, we'll have free agency. We'll make some more tough decisions to try and free up some cap space and bring back most of the players that we want to have on this team. Also, like I said, bringing back somebody like Nielakainen might not be a bad option just to help out with more goal scoring, but we don't really have much work we could do with this team to try and get them to contend. Obviously, having a lot of young guys jumping into the NHL next season might help us a little bit, but this might be our last opportunity this upcoming season. The good thing is a lot of the core is still intact, but I am a bit worried that they could drop off before we actually make it back to the finals again. So hopefully we could actually have a good run and everybody doesn't drop off and all that type of thing. So let me know down below, and I'll see you guys next time.